the underdog who made tennis speak Filipino. Nobody was supposed to be watching this match. It's a Tuesday afternoon slot on an outer court, the kind of scheduling slot where matches usually play out in front of a few hundred scattered fans and a handful of scouts with notepads. But something is wrong with this picture. The stands are packed. There isn't a single empty seat. Grown men are standing on chairs. Someone has smuggled in a 10-foot Philippine flag, and it's blocking the view of a corporate box that probably cost more than most people's cars. And the noise is the kind you hear at a World Cup qualifier, not a professional tennis match. At the center of all of it is a 21-year-old from Manila who, just over a year ago, was ranked outside the world's top 140 and playing in front of nobody at all. Now stay with me because this is where it gets strange. She is not the best player in the world. She has never won a Grand Slam. As recently as this week, she wasn't even ranked inside the top 20. And yet, wherever she plays, something happens that doesn't happen for players ranked above her. Sellouts, overflow crowds, tournament directors rearranging schedules around her, and a fan base so large and so loud that it has forced the sport itself to have an uncomfortable conversation about its own rules. Something is happening here that goes far beyond a good backhand. And by the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly what it is, and exactly why, as of the last 24 hours, this story just hit its biggest turning point yet. If you want to see how this ends, and trust me, what happened this week is bigger than anything that's happened in her career so far. Stick around because we're going to walk through the whole rise, match by match, moment by moment. Subscribe now so you don't miss what comes next in this story, because this is nowhere close to finished. Let's start with the name. Alexandra Eala. Filipino fans just call her Alex. To understand why a tennis match involving her can feel like a national holiday, you have to understand what she's actually representing every time she steps on court. The Philippines is a country of roughly 113 million people. It is one of the most populous nations on Earth. And for its entire modern sporting history, tennis was never part of the story. Basketball belonged to the Philippines. Boxing belonged to the Philippines, largely because of one man, Manny Pacquiao, who turned an entire generation of Filipinos into fight fans. But tennis? Tennis was something else. Tennis was white uniforms and hushed applause and country clubs an ordinary Filipino family would never set foot inside. It was culturally a locked door. Alex Eala kicked that door down. She trained at the Rafael Nadal Academy in Spain as a teenager, grinding through the junior circuit largely unnoticed outside tennis circles, winning junior Grand Slam titles that made headlines back home but barely registered internationally. Then came March 2025, the Miami Open, and one of the most startling breakout runs professional tennis had seen in years. Playing as a wildcard, ranked outside the top 100, Eala beat three players who had each won Grand Slam titles: Madison Keys, Jelena Ostapenko, and, most stunningly, Iga Swiatek, a former world number one. She reached the semifinals. She became the first player from the Philippines to ever reach a WTA 1000 semifinal, and the first to crack the world's top 100. That result alone would have been a career-defining achievement for most players. For Eala, it turned out to be the opening chapter. Here's the part most casual sports fans still don't fully grasp. What happened in the year that followed wasn't just a ranking climb. It was the emergence of one of the most unusual phenomena modern tennis has seen. A fan base that follows her not from city to city, but from continent to continent, made up almost entirely of the Filipino diaspora, one of the largest and most tightly connected migrant communities on the planet. Think about the scale of that community for a second. There are more than 4 million Filipino Americans in the United States alone. Add the millions of overseas Filipino workers scattered across the Middle East, Europe, Australia, and Asia, nurses in Birmingham, engineers in Berlin, students in Melbourne, families in Toronto, laborers in Dubai and Doha, and you have a global network of people who have, for decades, been cheering for boxers and basketball players from a distance, waiting for a reason to show up in person for something else. Alex Eala became that reason. At the Australian Open, fans were turned away because they couldn't squeeze into the outer court hosting her first-round match. At the Dubai Tennis Championships, she sold out her matches during a run to the quarterfinals, with overseas Filipino workers packing entire sections, waving flags, cheering every single point. At Indian Wells in March of 2026, her practice sessions drew crowds comparable to Carlos Alcaraz, Jannik Sinner, and Venus Williams for practice sessions. Novak Djokovic was asked about it and called it, in his words, a good problem for tennis to have. Andy Roddick said it publicly too. This is the kind of story the sport should be cheering for. But here's where the tension starts to creep in, and this is the part of the story that's genuinely fascinating, because it isn't just a feel-good underdog tale. It's a culture clash playing out in real time on some of the most tradition-bound courts in the world. Tennis, as a sport, was built around a very particular kind of decorum. Silence during play. Applause only at the end of a point. No chanting. No flags waved mid-rally. It's a culture closer to golf than to football. And when tens of thousands of Filipino fans, many of them completely new to the sport and learning its etiquette in real time, started showing up in numbers no one anticipated, that etiquette got tested. At tournaments like the ASB Classic in Auckland, Filipino fans have been notably careful about it. Holding applause until the point ends, staying quiet during play, a community visibly learning the rhythms of a sport that was never built with them in mind. But at other tournaments, the noise has spilled over midpoint, forcing officials to step in and ask crowds to quiet down during play. It's a genuine collision between an old sporting culture built for a different audience and a new one that shows up like it's cheering on a national team. Because in every way that matters to them, it is. And here's the question worth sitting with for a second. Is that a problem for tennis? Or is it exactly what tennis has been missing? Because the numbers tell you which side tournament organizers have landed on. The BNP Paribas Open's executive director told reporters directly that they benefit from it, that they promote it. Tournaments have quietly begun adjusting scheduling to put her matches in windows that work for fans watching back home in the Philippines. This isn't charity. It's business. A player who can fill outer courts to Alcaraz and Sinner levels is worth protecting. Now, let's talk about what's actually driving all of this, because it isn't marketing. It's the way she plays, and more specifically, the way she loses. Go back to the Miami Open in March of this year, 2026. Eala was defending her breakthrough from 12 months earlier, and the pressure was enormous. In the WTA's rolling ranking system, she wasn't chasing points anymore, she was defending them, which is a very different kind of weight to carry. In the second round, she played the longest match of her career, 3 hours and 20 minutes, grinding down veteran Laura Siegemund in 3 brutal sets to survive. She followed it with a straight sets win over Magda Linette. Then, in the fourth round, she ran into Karolina Muchova, fresh off a title in Qatar, and lost badly 6-love, 6-2. It was a rough day at the office, and it cost her. She dropped from a career high of 29 all the way down to 45 in the rankings within a single week. That's the part of the story tennis media loves to gloss over, and it matters because what came next tells you everything about who this player actually is. She didn't fold. Over the following months, through a clay season that was genuinely difficult for her, an early Roland Garros exit, tough losses in Stuttgart and Madrid, she kept grinding, kept showing up, kept absorbing losses that would break a lot of 20-year-olds' confidence. And then the grass season hit and everything changed. She won a second WTA 125 title in Birmingham. She reached the round of 16 at the HSBC Championships. At the Berlin Open, she beat 2 top 10 opponents, including a statement win over world number 2 Elena Rybakina, to reach the semifinals. Then came Wimbledon, and this is where the story stopped being a nice underdog subplot and became something the entire sport had to pay attention to. Eala beat Renata Zarazua. She beat Maya Joint. And in the third round, in front of a crowd that gave her something close to a home court atmosphere at the most tradition-bound Grand Slam on earth, she beat the defending champion Iga Swiatek, for the second time in her career, in a tense 2-set battle that went to a tiebreak. She fell in the fourth round to Jasmine Paolini, but by then it didn't matter. She had become the first Filipino player in the Open era to reach the fourth round of Wimbledon. Back home, her match was broadcast on national television immediately following a Philippine basketball team qualifier, tennis and basketball sharing primetime on the same channel back-to-back. If you know anything about how basketball-obsessed the Philippines is, you understand just how remarkable that scheduling decision actually was. And now here's where the story catches up to right now, to this very week, because what just happened is bigger than everything that came before it. At the Mubadala DC Open in Washington at the end of July, Eala opened her hardcourt swing at a career-high ranking of 28. She beat China's Zhang Qinwen. She beat defending champion Leylah Fernandez. a player who, in a strange twist, is herself of Filipino and Mexican heritage, her mother from the Philippines, making the matchup a genuinely emotional one for both players. She kept winning. She reached the final. And in the final, on August 2nd, she faced Jessica Pegula, the tournament's top seed, and at the time, the world number 3. Eala lost the first set, 4-6. Anyone who's followed her career knows exactly what tends to happen after Eala loses a first set. It's usually the moment she gets dangerous. She took the second set, 6-4. And in the third, she didn't just win. She dismantled a top 3 player in the world, 6-0, to capture her first ever WTA Tour title. Let that sink in for a second. A 21-year-old who was ranked outside the top 140 barely 18 months earlier just beat the third best player on the planet, 6-0, in the final set of a title match. The ranking jump that followed is the biggest single leap of her career. 500 ranking points in one tournament, her largest haul ever from a single event. And as of the official WTA rankings released today, August 4th, 2026, Eala has broken into the world's top 20 for the first time in her life, sitting at world number 20 with over 2,100 ranking points. Less than 18 months after sitting outside the top 140, she is now one of the 20 best players on the planet, with a win streak against top 10 opponents that has now reached 5 matches in a row, and an overall record against top 10 players this season that reads 9 wins against just 4 losses. Read that list of names again: Swiatek twice, Rybakina, Gauff, Paolini, Pegula. Those aren't soft results. Those are the players who define this era of women's tennis. And Eala has now beaten every single one of them. So here's the real question, the one worth sitting with as this video wraps up. Is what's happening around Eala simply a talented young player having a hot run, backed by an enthusiastic fan base? Or is this the blueprint for something the tennis world hasn't fully reckoned with yet? A sport that has spent decades marketing itself to a narrow, wealthy, mostly Western audience, suddenly discovering that one of the largest, most loyal, most emotionally invested fan bases on the planet was sitting untapped the entire time, simply waiting for a player who looked like them, sounded like them, and fought like they imagined themselves fighting? Because if that's what this is, if Eala really is proof that national pride can fill a stadium the way ranking points and Grand Slam trophies used to, and often can't anymore, then tennis just found itself a new market it never knew it had. And the players ranked above her, the ones with the bigger titles and the longer resumes, might want to start paying very close attention to what's happening on the outer courts, because it isn't staying on the outer courts much longer. She's 21. She's ranked 20th in the world as of this week, climbing fast, with a win streak against the best players alive, and a fan base that follows her onto every continent she touches. The story of Eala isn't building towards some future peak. As of today, it's still accelerating. And if the last 18 months are anything to go by, the version of this story we're telling a year from now is going to look nothing like the one you just watched. If you want to see where this goes next, make sure you're subscribed, because this is one underdog story that shows no sign of slowing down. Let us know in the comments what her run has meant to you, and we'll see you in the next one.